Hey Ramblers. So I'm very sorry that this didn't come to you on Christmas Day, but in the end I'm not sorry at all because it's Christmas and you didn't expect me to upload a video anyway, so why am I apologizing? Alex, we totally understand that you had internet problems and couldn't upload a video, and that's totally okay. We forgive you and you won't be punished. But I figured I'd make a video anyways and post it on Monday, which nobody usually posts on, and then we'll just continue with the week as normal because I think that the issue this week is actually something very, very important. So I want to talk about it. So Ruth, it was your turn to pick the topic of the week, and you chose immigration and nationality and such related issues because the DREAM Act that was going through the United States Parliament was shot down and is no longer in contention for becoming law. And I think that's, it's hard to say where I sit on that because I don't want to offend people, but at the same time, I feel very strongly that it was a very good act of Parliament and it was not thought through the way that it should be. Basically, the way that I understand the DREAM Act, and maybe I'm way wrong, Ruth, and correct me if I am because you would know way better than I would, I'm sure. But basically it had to do with minors who have graduated high school as illegal aliens or illegal immigrants being given the opportunity, if they complete either 2 years of a 4-year post-secondary degree or 2 years of uniform military service, that they would be extended the opportunity to have 6 years of temporary residency in the United States without the threat of deportation. Within that 6 years, I assume that they could apply for permanent residency, and there's a whole clause about how they need to have good moral character, whatever that means, but I assume that just means that they followed the law and didn't get arrested and things like that. So I assume that after that they'd be able to apply or go through the process to become permanent residents of the United States of America. And even if not, they would be given the chance to educate themselves enough to buy their way into permanent residency in America, which is probably why that they couldn't come here in the first place because they were too poor to extradite from their own country in the first place. So anyways, that's how I understand it. The question of whether the DREAM Act is a good act of Parliament or not has a lot to do with some Americans' conception of nationality. And anybody who studies North American dynamics or Canadian civics or any of these things will know that there are two very distinct metaphors about the Canadian and American approach to Canadianism and Americanism. Canada is often referred to as the mosaic country, so essentially no matter where you're from or what your circumstances are for coming to Canada, you remain your own nationality, your own ethnicity. You keep that's still who you are, and we all sort of just come together to form this sort of multicultural palette of colors that is Canada. And obviously I'm not just talking about skin color, I'm talking about like cultural color and things like that. America, on the other hand, is often referred to as a melting pot, so essentially anybody who comes into America is integrated into Americanism and is expected to contribute to what it is to be American. And they're all sort of, with all their differences, poured into one sort of central melting pot and melted together to form sort of one consistent whole. So Canada, broken up into little pieces but coming together to create a multicolored pattern. And America, all the colors are there, but they're all sort of just mixed together into Americanism. So Canadianism is a whole bunch of different things and it's really hard to pin down, but Americanism is you are American. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people have with the DREAM Act, is that the people who would benefit from the DREAM Act are not necessarily contributing to the American system in the way that people want them to. I know, and I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not saying even the majority of people, but there are people who, clicheically in cartoons and on right-wing television grumble about, oh, they're stealing our jobs and good Americans are losing their jobs because of all these illegal immigrants. I should have probably prefaced that by saying this bears no resemblance to actual people and all, resemblance. The whole thing they say before movies, the events here are fictional and bear no resemblance to actual people and don't sue us if they do. But anyway, some people do think that way, and maybe it's my Canadian bias, but that's just not the way that I see it. My Canadian view of nationality and what it means to be a citizen of a country or a contributor to the nation is not very right-wing American. I think that if somebody is willing to risk their lives to come to a country and then to pursue an education beyond secondary, because, the DREAM Act required that they take post-secondary education or join the military. And the military is a pretty big contribution to what it means to be American. Like, if you're willing to join the military, you're pretty serious about being an American and contributing to your country. But if you're also willing to attend an institution of post-secondary education, generally you're not there to steal people's jobs and live off of the system. Post-secondary school in the States is way, way, way more expensive than it is in Canada. And I cannot even afford it here, so I could never afford it in the United States. And I'm fairly well-to-do in Canada. So if you're an illegal immigrant who is willing to make the sacrifice monetarily to attend an institution of higher education, or to join the military and serve the country that you have adopted as your own, I'd say that, yeah, you kind of deserve the 6 years of temporary residency that the DREAM Act was trying to guarantee you. But hey, maybe I'm misunderstanding the system, and maybe there were good reasons to shoot down the DREAM Act and not take care of immigrants. And yes, sometimes illegal immigrants can be fairly taxing on the national wallet, but those are not the immigrants that the DREAM Act was trying to take care of. Like I said, the people who would benefit from the DREAM Act are people who are willing to contribute in the way that Americans, as a melting pot, if I'm allowed to use that metaphor, want people to contribute to their society. So anyways, that's my sort of take on the whole DREAM Act thing and what it means to be part of a country. I'm so happy that Canada is the way that it is, and I love Americans and I love the United States, and they're awesome neighbors, and people complain about them a lot up here, I'm sorry, but I really, really like America. But as far as my understanding of it is, I don't think they did the right thing with this one. But maybe I guess it's just legal immigrants should divert to Canada instead, because we'd be glad to have them here. That was a blanket statement, and I'm sure it's not true for everybody or even close to everybody, but I'd be happy to have them. Anyways, James, I can't wait to see your video tomorrow, and that's weird because usually I'm talking to Alex tomorrow, but can't wait to see your video tomorrow, James, on James Day. We should bring that back, by the way. That should continue to be a thing. And Ruth, I can't wait for you to give us sort of the definitive ramble on this topic on Thursday. And I hope your Christmases were amazing and you got all the things on your wish list. Ruth, you got a MacBook, which is super exciting. I don't know why I sang that. That's weird. Anyways, guys, DFTBA.